to Moshe to remind the Jewish people for all the generations on how God warned them, how God helped them, how God did amazing miracles for them, how they repeatedly ignored God's warnings and his help and his miracles, and how God had to punish them. How God had to punish them terribly for what they did, but how after all God still loves them.
Isn't it telling the people how God will punish them in the future and how he will forgive them in the future?
How he will do, right, but also in the past. Here, see, that's how it starts off. Here, 1 second. How the whole thing starts off. It starts off like this. There we go. Here, right in the beginning. Zechor Yamos Olam Binu Shnos Dor V'Dor Sha'al Avicha V'Yagedcha Zekenecha V'Homer Lach. Here, where is it? We did it yesterday. This is what we learned yesterday. What is it? Shem Hashem. Everything that God does is perfect. Did God did the sins? No, you did it. You're a stubborn nation. God is your father. He is the one that has helped you. And now we go. Here we go. Zachor Yamos Olam. Remember the days of yore. Understand the generations and generations from the beginning of creation. Adam and Enosh and Noach. Ask your father, he'll tell you, your grandfather, and he'll say it to you. Grandparents, they'll tell it to you. When God inherited the nations, etc., he separated people. He made them eventually instead of destroying them, he made them, scattered them around the world and made them according to the number of the Jews, because the Jews are God's portion. God found them in a desert. We did this yesterday, in a desert, in a wasteland, and he took them around like the apple of his eye, like a eagle that flutters, whatever it is, over his young. He spreads his wings and he takes them on his back. God alone is helping the Jews. There's no strange God with him. And now God goes into it. He put you on the high places of the land. He gave you the best things to eat. Took honey from a rock and oil from a boulder. He gave you the butter of the cows and the milk of sheep and etc. and everything. Okay, all the best things. He's giving you the best wheat, and you got fat. Here we go. You got fat. This is still yesterday's, right? This is not today. Is it today? No, that's today's. You got fat. Now here the Jews are repaying God for what he did them. You got fat. You kicked. Shamanta Avita, you got obese, thick, and you katita, and you covered your face over, and you left God who created you. You have disgraced the rock that has been your salvation. You have made him jealous with strangers, with all sorts of toivot, with all sorts of disgusting things. You have made him mad. Look at Rashi says. It says, you've made God mad. You've inflamed his anger and his jealousy, his hatred for you. with all sorts of disgusting, what do they call it, abominations. Mo'asat ta'ivim, for instance, homosexuality, witchcraft. It says by these things that they're called to'eva. To'eva, you made God mad. You have sacrificed to, whatever it is, to all sorts of weird ghosts and spirits that are not gods, that are not really gods. Gods that were not known, brand new ones that came brand new, that even your forefathers never estimated there would be such a thing. That's what the Rashi says. Lo sarum, lo yerumi, they didn't, your fathers even did not bow down to them. Why? Because they feared God. That's what the Sifri, other places say, Sa'arum is the Si'rim. These are the, whatever these, what are they called? The spirits, ghosts or something. Si'rim. The Jewish people worship. They're Shadim. What's it for Shadim? What do they call Shadim? Spirit demons. Oh, also the demons. Lo asu avotechem sirin. Even your forefathers, that they worshiped idols, they didn't worship idols like these. Made new ones. It says, Chadashim Ikerabo, says even the non-Jews, the Umas Olam, the non-Jews, they never saw these gods that the Jews are worshiping. A non-Jew that sees a Jew worshiping these weird gods, they say, hey, this must be one of the Jewish gods that they made up. We never heard of this one. But Jews are very inventive people. The Surya Ladata, the rock that has given birth to you, you have rejected. You forgot God that has benefited you. You forget, okay? So God saw and he got mad. The anger of his children and the men and the women among you, what you're doing, you're making God mad. And God said like this, I will conceal my face from them. I will see so that I won't see what's going to be in the end with them. Rashi, so they won't see what's going to be in their end. Kidor tapuchotema. They are a generation that's upside down. Banim, sons that have no understanding. It says, Dor tapuchotema mahapchim ratzoni lakas. They transform my goodwill to anger. Ein emun bohem. There's no, I've shown them the good way and they've turned away from it. How could it possibly be? That's what it means, omen. Omen is not, anyways, here it says, omen emuna. One says, it was the, en emun, bahem, emun is lashon vayi omen. Omen, there's no like care in them. Some people said that they have no faith. Omer B'Sinai, Nasa, in Mount Sinai, they said, we believe you, God. We'll do whatever you say. And all of a sudden, in 1 second, they went and made the egel, the golden calf. They made me angry with no nation. This is, says, some people say this is talking about the Palestinians. They made me angry with a non-God. They made me, how do you say, they aroused my wrath because of their foolishness. I'm going to take revenge on them with a non-nation, with a disgusting people. I will take out my anger on them. It says, what they made me angry with things that aren't God. They worshipped all sorts of the sun, the skies, the animals. They worshipped everything. And I'm going to get them mad. I'll take my vengeance on them with nations that have no name. Ba'uma she'en lo shem. Like it says in Eretz Kazdim, they came from the land of Kazdim. That's basically, if you think about it, that's the Palestinians, right? There was no such thing as Palestine. But people who lived in Palestine, they never had these Palestinians. They have never had a nation, had a flag or a stamp or something like that. They're a zero nation. They made the Israelis, the Zionists. They basically made up this whole nation, and now they're making war against us, and we're afraid to fight against them. Kofrim, Bekenu Omar, Amnavel, in Elohim. With a disgusting nation, I will take my vengeance on them. This is a nation that denies God. Maybe we could say it's the Nazis. The Palestinians are basically the same thing as the Nazis. They're just not successful. Because a fire is burning in my anger, and it will burn until the depth of hell, and I will eat up the earth and everything in it. This was, of course, the destruction of the first and the second temples when God kicked them out of us, not them, kicked us out of the land, kicked me out of the land. It says, don't worry, I will gather on them bad. I will spend all of my arrows on them. It says, Achbir Ra al Ra. I will join one bad thing to another bad thing. Safo Tamo, etc. Safo, the Safo Rava, al Samea. We had that before. To add, my arrows I will spend on them, says God. I'll get rid of all of my arrows. This is a curse, but it's also really a blessing. Why? Because God is saying, I'll shoot all my arrows. In other words, my arrows will finish, but the Jewish people won't finish. And now he's saying all sorts of other terrible things that's going to be Mizeh Ra'av. There'll be hunger, and there'll be thirst, and there'll be Ketev Marie, all sorts of animals I'll send on them, and creepers, snakes, scorpions. It says this is the snakes and things like that. I'm going to send on them. Now, outside there's going to be a sword. In the inside, everybody's going to be afraid. Also, young people, young girls, even babies, everyone's going to be just living in constant fear. I think that's now, frankly. I think that's now. Everybody's just living in total irrational fear. It's like you can't be afraid enough. Everybody just screaming at everybody else, put on your mask. Everybody's going berserk. I don't know how it is by you, but that's the way it is in the land of Israel. I said, Afihim, I'll wipe them out. I said to myself, I'll wipe them out. I'll destroy from man their remembrance. If it wasn't the anger of the enemy, then it could be I would just do away with them so that the nations won't say that we succeeded, we're the ones that took care of the Jews, and God had nothing to do with this. Okay, now there's going to be a Rashi over here that's going to explain because they are a nation that they have no proper, advice. They can't take the proper path, and they have no understanding whatsoever. I mean, just simple, you see, they have this crazy idea in Israel that they have to make concessions. The Rebbe spoke about it hundreds and hundreds of hours. And they think they have to make concessions. I mean, it's not politics. It's totally insane. The Rebbe said once, we're going to say now, B'chet shechatanu b'yetzer hara. In Yom Kippur, we make confession. We say, with the sins that I did with my eyes, the sins that I did with my legs, the sins that I did with my forehead, the sins that I did with my arms, the sins I did. And then it says, and the sins that I did with my Yetzer Hora. So the Rebbe said, what is that? The sin you did with your Yetzer Hora? I mean, all the sins are done with your Yetzer Hora. The Rebbe said, no. A person sins with his arms, his legs. Your legs and your arms don't want to sin. But a person can make them sin. So there's a sin that even the Yetzer Hora doesn't want to do. But the Jews forced their Yetzer Hara to do the sin. Really. They said, what is this sin? He said, giving land to the Arabs, giving parts of Israel to the Arabs, and think it's going to make peace. He said, even the Yetzer Hara doesn't want this. Yetzer Hara wants to enjoy, it wants to have a fun, it wants to something, to get some sort of outcome. And giving land to the Arabs, says the Rebbe, no one benefits. We don't benefit, and they don't benefit. It's bad for everyone. Every concession we've ever made only brings tragedy for everyone, for the Arabs and for us as well. So that's what it means. Goy oved eitzosem of ein bem tavuna. They have no sense. They're doing things that simply make no sense. And now he says, Lu chachma, if they were smart, they would understand this. And this is the whole point of the song. The point of the song is, are you going to catch on? Here, look, here's a song. It's telling you what's going to happen, and it's happening. Now, listen to the end of the song. If they were smart, they would understand this. They would understand what's happening in the end. Rashi says, they have no understanding. They have no wise people, right? They keep giving these crazy ideas. You will understand. They would put their heart and understand what's going on with the Jewish people, why these terrible things are happening. How could it be that one of the enemy runs after 1,000 and two of them can pursue 10,000 unless their rock, in other words, God sold them out, and God himself, the rock sold them out, and God themselves is surrendering them to the enemy. Okay, now who's supposed to understand over here? Who's supposed to understand? It seems the Jews are supposed to understand, right? Let's look and see. It says, because not like our rock is their rock. And our enemies are now judging us. It says, in other words, obviously God has put us Jews into their hands. Ki begeffens dom gafnam, because here this is the famous saying, book was called, because the wine, the grapes of Sodom is their grapes. Shadmos anve rosh, there are the grapes of wrath, of anger. Ashkelos moros lama, I'll give them, in other words, bitter wine to drink. Talking about the Jews, right? And etc. These terrible things. Isn't this size with me? It's concealed in my storehouse. I can take revenge. I can pay everything back until their feet slip, because the day of vengeance is nearby and the future is rapidly approaching. Okay. Yeah, so here the Rashi says like this. All right, let's see this. So right, this is tomorrow's Rashi already. This is already tomorrow. Okay, now Moshe is saying all sorts of tochachas. He's telling them all sorts of words of reproof and warning that this song should be a testimony. From here, he's giving them all sorts of comfort, what's going to be. Because God will judge his people and he will comfort them, because he will see that they are helpless and that they have no way of returning back. They'll say, where is the God that we trusted in him? The Jews will say, where is he? Where are the gods? Where are the idols that we thought would help us? We see that they did not help us. They gave us the fat of the land, and that the fat of their sacrifices did we eat, and we drank the wine of their libations that we gave to the goyim, to the non-Jews. Let them help us. Yazrechem v'yi aleichem sisra. Let them help us. See now that I am God. I am the one, and there's no God with me. I am the one that kills. I am the one that brings alive. I make sick, and I will heal. From here we learn that the raising of the dead will raise up sick with a disease they had when they died, and then they'll get healed. It says, I die, I kill, and I bring to life. I made sick, and then I will heal. No one can be saved from me. When God says, okay. Now we have now we're going to see in a couple sentences, the whole thing is going to turn around. Because I will raise my hand to heaven, says God. And I will say, I swear by myself, if I sharpen my sword and I definitely will sharpen my sword, and I will take judgment on those who make trouble for the Jews, for me, those who hate me, and I'll repay them back. My arrows will be drunk with blood. My sword will eat flesh. From the blood of the corpses and the revenge, on the sins of the enemies that I take. Okay, and this is the song. This is where everything turns around. This is the song we sing. This is a Chabad song. Behold, Goyim, this is his people. Because the blood of his servants, God will revenge. Vengeance will be given to all of his enemies. And the land of Israel will be a revenge, a forgiveness for his people. Harneinu goyim amo kidam avad avikom nakam yashiv l'tzara v'chiper ad masad mo. Here he says, Rashi brings over here, says, v'nichlachol bo Rabbi Yehuda. All of these sentences I just explained to you, if you look in the Midrash, the Sifri, Midrash Sifri, there's an argument between Rabbi Yehuda and Rabbi Nechemia. Rabbi Yehuda, he explains like we've explained up to now. He says that all these sentences are talking about the Jews. The Jews will sin, the Jews will get punished. Rabbi Nechemia, he says they all refer to the non-Jews. Rabbi Yehuda talks about the non-Jews, like we just said. I will get mad at them, and etc. Just like I thought I would wipe them out, just like I explained up to now. Hello Hashem, is it not God that did all this? Goy Oved Eitzos, the Jews are people with no understanding, and they have no etc. Everything is called, like I said before. But Rabbi Nechemia, he explains everything toward the non-Jews. Goy Oved Eitzos Emo, etc. Like I said in the beginning about Oivenu Plilim. So as you can say one of two ways, that God is going to punish all the non-Jews and the Jews will say, wow, let's do tshuva, or because of the bad things that God did to the Jews, as the Jews will catch on, and they will say, and that's the end of the song. That's the end of the song. That ends tomorrow's. That ends on, I'm sorry, this is Yom Shishi. And now Yom Shvi is going to be how Moshe is preparing already to die. It says, go into Mount Ivorium, Har Novo, and you'll pass away. And we'll talk about this, God willing, tomorrow. We'll talk about the end of this tomorrow. Good. Now we learn Mishnah, but I want to take a 2-minute break, okay?